Let's call the meeting in order for March 12th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Do you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Wood.
Here.
Councilmember Crossman.
Here.
Councilmember Richardson. He's here virtually.
We got a roll.
Councilmember Hess.
Here.
Councilmember Palmer.
Here.
Councilmember Kaminsky. Here. Mayor Pinto.
Here. Thank you. And move into agenda approval. Councilmember Palmer.
I'd like to make a motion to add Sonia Ramirez, Court Administrator, to the Timberland Bank Court account ending in 4984 to the consent agenda.
Is there a second? Second. Second by Councilmember Hess. Is there any discussion? All right, it's been amended, or excuse me, it's been motion be amended. The agenda has been motion be amended. Is no further discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Now that the agenda has been amended. Oh, I'm sorry, Joseph.
He voted.
Thank you. Now it's been amended. Can I ask for approval of the agenda? Councilmember Hess.
I'd like to move that we approve the agenda as presented with the additional information.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Palmer. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to special presentations. There is none. Moving on to public comment. If you want to go ahead and address council on whatever you all want, please fill out a blue card if you haven't already. We have one so far. If you haven't, go ahead and I'll call you up there if you want to as well. We can get down your information afterwards. All right, so with that, would Harry Miller please come up?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much. I just want to have a note of appreciation for the mayor stopping by the senior center, spending some time with our director. And thank you for the support this council and the city gives the seniors. We really appreciate it. And whatever you can do to continue to encourage the old timers, thank you. And Councilman Hess stopped by the Leads at Lunch and spent a little time with some of the chamber members. And thank you very much. It's good to see you guys out and about. And thank you for your support. And I'm also here for the interviews, and Brian Hess's always entertaining questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Is there anyone else in public that wishes to address the council? All right. Anyone online? Sounds like.
No hands.
All righty. We'll move on to the consent agenda. We've got the February 6, 2024 study session minutes, February 13, 2024, and February 27, 2024 regular meetings minutes, as well as the ClearGov budget software to approve purchase for $25,125 and the addition of adding Sonia Ramirez, Court Administrator, to the agenda. Councilmember Hess.
I move that we approve the consent agenda as read by the mayor.
Second. Second by Councilmember Kaminsky. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to new business. We have a professional service agreement with SCJ Alliance for design of the Parade Trail Line Phase 2B. Cody, I believe it's you.
Yep, this is me. So in front of you, council, is a contract with SCJ Alliance for design of Prairie Line Trail Phase 2B. That is the bridge section and a small, tiny stub out into Pierce County. This will get the pathway and trail over the bridge. As you know, if you've been out there, the trail goes to about 20 feet before the bridge. This will connect that, redesign the bridge so it can allow pedestrian traffic. So putting boards, walls up, and some different viewing amenities on there, along with the ability for horses to travel. So it'll be like a little extra enforcement for the horses. And SCJ, we asked for an RFQ, request for qualifications from multiple people. SCJ and Skilling's both applied. SCJ, because of their experience on the rest of the trail and other bridge designs, they won that contract. And so now we're bringing it before you. This is grant funded. We do have a match. That match has been budgeted. This is just the design portions, a little over 1.5 million in grant funding total. Happy to answer any questions if you got me.
There's no Councilmember Grossman.
I move to approve professional services agreement with SCJ Alliance for design of Prairie Line Trail Phase 2B.
Councilor Hess. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. Motion carries. All right, moving on to what's going on out there. It's hailing. All right, moving on to item B under new business, city council applicant interviews. So we received a total of 9 total applicants. Of those, 4 applicants were not qualified due to not living in the city limits. 5 qualified applicants were notified by email to attend this meeting here, and as well as the March 26th council meeting. The process, as council is agreed upon, council members will go ahead and vote for their for any of the any of the applicants, but this is not at this thing. We're just hearing interviews, but it would take a majority vote of 4 to go ahead and make that person a council member. So during this interview process tonight, though, council will be asking questions of the applicants. The applicants will go ahead and for fairness, will be asked to go in the one of our conference rooms in the back, and we will draw numbers randomly. And you'll each be assigned a number, and we'll just draw numbers randomly. And you will go ahead and come out. Someone will bring you out here. You'll answer the questions for the council. You can make a statement first, and then council will go ahead and have questions for you. And after that, you're welcome to stay in for the rest or take off if you want. But then we'll just keep people coming back in from the back room. Is there any questions, council or any of the applicants process? The 5 applicants that were qualified are Ryan Cruz, Robert Eisen, Roy Putra, Stephanie Kingisser, Griselda Arias. I apologize if I spelled or said your name wrong, but if you wouldn't mind following Cody over there out to the other room, appreciate it, and we'll go ahead and give them a number. Todd, they don't have numbers.
Yeah. On the board.
Okay. So we will go ahead and after everyone is picked, you will go out and get number 5. So they have numbers apparently assigned to them back there. They're going to come back by one, give a speech, council ask questions. And it's helpful if you ask the same questions, but I mean, it's up to you as council. What you will. Please try to be relevant to the job and what it entails here. Just keep it as local politics as we can. And I don't know who number 5 is, so we'll see together.
Surprise. It's Griselda. It's on the whiteboard.
Well, you're the
They're in our finance committee. I got a sneak peek preview.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Yelm City Council. My name is Griselda Arias, a proud daughter of Mexican immigrants who came to this country in the 1980s. I was born and raised in the Yakima Valley, and I was instilled with a deep sense of determination and community from a young age. This drive led me to enlist in the Army National Guard at 17, recognizing it as my pathway to higher education and an opportunity to serve my country. At the age of 20, I completed a tour of duty in Iraq, an experience that shaped my perspective on service, resilience, and leadership. Following my military service, I pursued my passion for public health, earning degrees in public health and health administration. My professional journey has been dedicated to enhancing community health and safety, from managing the asthma project at Yakima Valley Farm Workers Clinic to overseeing the pesticide illness surveillance program for the state of Washington. These roles have honed my skills in managing multidisciplinary teams, making data-driven decisions, and fostering community engagement, skills that I believe are crucial for effective leadership in public office. Having called Yelm my home for the past 3 years and having worked in Yelm the 4 years prior to that, I've grown deeply committed to the well-being of our community. My professional background, coupled with my experiences, has equipped me with a unique perspective that I believe will contribute significantly to our city's growth and prosperity. As a candidate for the Yelm City Council, my priorities include enhancing community health and environmental sustainability, promoting education, community engagement, and managing our city's growth through sustainable infrastructure development. I'm committed to working collaboratively with my fellow council members, city departments, and the residents of Yelm to achieve these goals. My journey from the Yakima Valley to the heart of Yelm is a testament to the values of hard work, dedication, and service. It is these values that I intend to bring to the Yelm City Council so that together we can build a vibrant, inclusive, and resilient community that thrives for generations to come. I thank you for considering my application and take questions.
Go down the line. And if you don't have a question, we'll just pass, starting with Councilmember Wood.
Curious, that was beautiful, by the way. Curious if you are interested in filling a seat until the election, or if you have intentions of running for that seat after that.
I have intentions to run.
Councilor Crossman?
Yes. So in your application, you wrote as one of your strengths, commitment to education and informed electorate. My passion for education and ensuring an informed electorate aligns with the needs for civic engagement and community empowerment in Yelm. So how are you engaged with the community now and fulfilling this passion of yours?
I am just starting. I would say my commitment with Yelm and my experience with Yelm started as the manager of the CMAR Community Health Center for 4 years here in Yelm. I got to meet and really understand a lot of the needs of our community. I am not as involved as I would like to be. And I think this is my first step. I saw this opening and I thought, I want to be a part of the growth of this community. So there are areas where I need to grow and I need to expand. I have noticed there's a lot of things that happen around the schools, the high schools. I unfortunately do not have children. So there I felt like I needed a different avenue to be able to connect with the school, with schools. I believe civic engagement should start at a young age, and it should start in our high schools. It should start with a youth council. It should start with something that promotes civic engagement, but also educates on civic engagement. So I have a lot to learn and a lot to grow in. So I'm ready for the challenge, and I'm ready to start looking for things to become engaged in, more so than the Yelm activities and getting to know the community through my service and work here in Yelm.
Sorry, Councilmember Richardson, I skipped you. Okay, Councilmember Hess.
Of the upcoming projects, which do you think a good one for the city? Which one do you think is a bad one for the city?
I don't know that I have one that I would say is a bad one. I think I was watching the dog park very closely. I am a proud dog mom, so I'm very excited. I knew there was some feedback that was maybe not everybody was excited about the dog park and the need for the dog park, but that is one that I'm very excited about. I think what we just talked about, the prairie, the trail, is something that is essential. But I don't know that I have something that I would say I'm not supportive of in terms of what is going on currently with the Yelm City Council. I think the conversations about the YMCA, I am excited about that. I can understand the concerns about it affecting small businesses, or how that would look, but I also see Yelm growing every single day as you see more and more buildings, more apartments, more homes being built. And I think there's room for everything.
Thank you.
Councilmember Palmer.
Yeah, so you mentioned, very good job, by the way, because you answered a bunch of my backup questions, so I appreciate that. But you mentioned sustainable growth and for the city. What does that look like to you as far as responsible and sustainable growth in the city?
I think it's comprehensive planning. So it's working with, not just our knowledge here, but with the urban planners, with architects, with community stakeholders. I think it's smart growth strategies, adopting those principles in city planning to manage urban expansion responsibly. And it encourages kind of like a mixed use of development. So, you know, we want to grow and we want to build, but we want to maintain our green spaces as well. And it really can't be, I don't see it as a decision that is the end all be all here. I think we need the experts to guide us in how we make that decision. I mean, I'm not an architect and I don't understand the consequences of putting up this building here and what that does over here, right? So I think it's our responsibility to find the experts that can help us with that, to make those decisions.
Thank you. Councilmember Kaminsky,
All my questions were answered, but very nice job. Thank you for coming forward.
go for another round if anyone has any. Councilmember Wood, Richardson. Anyone else? Councilmember Hess?
One of the issues that we have in today's society is the homeless. Reference the homeless and the unhoused, and those close to being unhoused. How do you see the city being involved in that? In other words, what do you think the city should be doing for that?
I think that's a very challenging subject, because when we talk about the unhoused, you're not just talking about somebody who, for whatever reason, doesn't have a place to call home. You're talking about somebody who, through mental health issues, through addiction issues, through circumstances that I genuinely believe are out of some people's control, that are causing this situation. So I think the Homeless Coalition is a start, and I think it's a place to bring up this conversation and bring up ideas, but you cannot, you know, put up a building and say, here you go, we've solved the homeless crisis. You have to understand what is happening in the community. And as 4 years of overseeing a community health center in Yelm, I can definitely appreciate that there is mental health crisis as well as an addiction crisis. And you need to address those before you can move to any sort of, let's build an apartment complex specifically for the homeless, or let's build this, or let's build that. I think you need to understand these are people, and these circumstances did not happen overnight, and they're not going to stay overnight.
Is there any further questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next number is 4.
Calm down.
I should have. Oh. Hi.
Please step to the podium and start us off.
My name is Stephanie Tinvider, and you might recognize me from this weekend's events at Dollars for Scholars auction. I have served on their board for 3 years as secretary. Or you might recognize me from the Chamber Forum this afternoon. My business has been a member of the Yelm Chamber of Commerce for 12 years now, all 12 years that we've been open. And I have served on their board since 2020. You might also recognize me from Rotary. I've been a member since 2019. I own a small business in McKenna, actually an employee-based salon that has been open since 2012. I have a strong heart for our community, and I usually much myself in our community. You might also recognize me from our latest voters pamphlet. I actually ran for the last term for Yelm City Council. I lost by a mere 23 votes, which just told me that it wasn't quite my time. I would love to serve on council. I would love to continue serving my community, and maybe in a different capacity. So what questions do you have for me today?
Councilor Wood.
Same question. If you're appointed, do you have intentions of running for that seat in the next election? That seat's up for?
Yes.
Councilor Richardson?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for your application here, Steph. I actually did vote for you. Sorry, Tracy, but you are doing a good job. Appreciate it. It's nice sitting next to Tracy. So to see you come back out and apply is a positive. And seeing that a big majority of Yelm, supports you as well. I'm just glad you're turning back out. So thank you for your time. And I'm just excited that you keep applying. So thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you, Joe.
Councilor Crossman?
So besides being a successful business owner and you're involved in all these organizations and nonprofits, how do you plan to balance needs and interests of the different community groups while making decisions that benefit the entire city?
I think that's a fairly easy question. I think our infrastructure starts right here with the city. I think that a lot of the organizations that I'm a part of and nonprofits and things like that, they're a flexible group, really mostly comprised of volunteers. So they're going to flex. The city really builds the infrastructure and the foundation of all of that. Once the city's thriving, then pretty much the citizens and all of our organizations can thrive. One big example that's really happened in the last year or two, quite frankly, is our community center. We were able to bring that community center in on grant, and that was wonderful. And we got to reap the benefits of all of that. And then the longer that things roll, we've discovered that there's a deficit, and it's actually costing us quite a bit of money. Over the last year or so, the city has had to take a closer look at the budget and really reframe that structure of what all of that looks like. And what that has done is actually scatter some of our events. It has taken some of the events from the community center and spread it around to other places. And that kind of a cool thing, because then it's not like, oh, it's always at the community center. It's always at the community center. It's actually helping our city to grow. And that's the whole point of it.
Councilor Hess?
Of the upcoming projects, which do you think is a good one for the city? Which one is a one, and why for each?
The upcoming one?
Upcoming projects. Projects that we have, such as the dog park was a project. We have the roundabout for Five Corners that's coming up. We also have a variety of other ones within the city.
You want me to explain that they're lovely or that they're?
Oh, which ones do you think is a good one for the city that a decision was made? Which one is, no, we shouldn't even be going that direction? That's all I'm asking. If you don't have one that's a bad one, then not a problem.
Well, there's really a lot going on right now. I mean, I'm not sure that I could bullet point each of them. The dog park, I'm sure, is going to be wonderful, especially, I think, as it was mentioned, so many apartment complexes are being built right now, and more people will be able to get out. I think the roundabout, looking at all of the studies, is a great option, and I'd really love to continue seeing the research help the traffic. That's it. I commute to McKenna, which is a great 7-minute commute. But boy, oh boy, when the traffic stops things up, it one time took me 4 hours to get to work. So I am all for whatever's going to help traffic flow.
Councilor Palmer?
Kind of touched on it with that last one, but I was going to say, I'll ask you what the top 3 things are you think we need to work on, and which ones you're most passionate about. Your number one.
Traffic flow. I mean, that's a really big one, is the traffic flow. I think that's probably the biggest for anybody. I guess my next big objective, or to be in a seat, would be to make sure that our community voices are being heard. So being able to ask community members exactly the questions that you've asked, what's important to you, and be able to bring it to the council, to the city, and really hear that, not just people within our city limits, but so many people just outside that still use that same zip code.
Councilmember Kaminsky.
Well, again, my questions have already been answered since I'm last on the list here. But I just wanted to say that your tenacity and persistence to come before us is definitely a nice quality that would be useful in your council. So thank you for coming again.
Thank you for having me.
Any other questions from the council? Thank you.
Nothing else.
Got nothing.
Well, thank you for allowing me to.
Thank you very much. Let's see if it's number 3. No, it's not. It's 1. Number 1.
Got a lot of steps to get.
So you go.
Yeah.
Pagers like the restaurants have.
Do you need 1/4 miles this morning?
Attaboy.
Open with a statement, we'll follow up with questions.
Good evening, council. I've always wanted to be some sort of leadership like this, and they think this is the best way to go about it. I consider myself a forward thinker, common sense, solution oriented. I'm a very balanced individual, dedicated. Got plenty of stories to prove that. I definitely care for the future of this city. I've got 2 kids I want to raise here. I've been here my whole life. And yeah, there you go. I'll make it sweet and simple.
Let's start on this end. Councilmember Kaminsky.
Ryan, I know you've lived here a long, long time, your family and everything. Why is it now that you feel you want to move forward for this position? Why now for you?
Sure. I think I put in my application that a lot of people have approached me for, running for council, running for, like, okay, cool. Never really had a really inkling to it. And I think the political climate's sort of shaping that for me lately. I mean, just in general, not just here for Yelm, but just in general. And I want to do my part, at least in the local, when I can, to put my vote in and make sure and see this city to its highest and best possibilities.
Councilmember Palmer.
All right, so top three things we need to work on as a city and why.
Ooh, dang. Top 3 things. Traffic. Homelessness. And I don't know. For the 3rd one there. Traffic, obviously, we're all affected by it. There's a lot going on with the roundabouts that are looking to come in, the bypasses that's been in place for the last 10, 15 years. I know we're trying to address that, and I want to do my part and make sure it moves forward correctly. Again, in the last few years, there's been a huge increase just in homelessness, and I think it has an effect on crime. I think it has an effect on just society in general. I'm not sure how best to approach that yet. Hence the reason I want to be a part of people who are leadership and, again, cast my vote on that. So for a 3rd one, I don't have one.
All right, I appreciate it.
Councilmember Hess.
Let's see, reference the homeless and the unhoused. That's what I want. How do you see the city being involved in that? What are your thoughts on
Okay. Again, back to political climate, I feel like they've kind of taken over and it's done enough to either help them or, push them to the cities that, are able to help them. I know we are limited resources, but to answer that question, I feel that as a city, we can do more. So just keep it simple.
Councilman Crossman.
Ryan, being that you're a local business owner, investor in the community, put your money where your mouth is. Do you see Yelm as being business friendly? Do you have any suggestions for improvement?
Sure. I definitely see Yelm as being business friendly. I think there's a lot of red tape that are out of our control, like transportation right now. So putting money where my mouth is, I put a lot of money into the city or into, positioning myself in the city already, but Department of Transportation. I found it very pleasing to work with Cody here, and getting the applications processed. I think we're pretty streamlined there, I feel like. Suggestions, maybe more outreach to other adjoining cities. Again, I'm kind of new to all this here, so I don't know how much outreach is really done. But with Pierce County, obviously the traffic makes a huge difference there. Suggestions specifically with the city is maybe putting some efforts towards more child-friendly things. We got a dog park that just came in, and I like the splash pad, but something that's a little more geared for winter time. I mean, for Washington, it's rain and cold for 9 months out of the year. So as far as suggestions go. Or are you looking for something more specific on like business oriented?
Whatever you feel like commenting on. So
There you go.
good to go.
Councilman Richardson.
Hey, Ryan, you grew up in this community. You've been here. What are some fond memories that you could think of growing up in this community that make Yelm what it is? And beyond that, do you feel like the present Yelm today is still that home you grew up in?
I like that question. I feel like Yelm has shifted again in the last, 5-10 years. I'll say it like this. I feel like we used to not have to worry about locking our doors. And we've grown so much, and that kind of comes to the territory. And my fond memories would be, that small town feel. Rooting for the Tornadoes to win. That was awesome. Just that small town feel. To answer the question. Fond memories would be just riding a bike through town. My little one-speed BMX and just not have a care in the world.
Councilman Wood.
Curious, if you're appointed to the position, would you be running for that seat in 2 years when it's up for election?
I don't know. I'd like to see how this plays out. I will definitely dedicate, if I am elected, I will definitely dedicate my time to it. I've already made that mental agreement with myself, and I'll see how it plays out. I definitely see myself becoming a leader in the community for sure.
Any other questions from council? All right, thank you. Cool. Number 2.
Yeah, 50-50 shot at it.
Yeah, I usually get those.
Yeah.
I don't gamble.
Fair enough.
You know, with me. God.
I don't want that, man.
All right. It's not fun for
I
anyone.
want to see that. Go ahead and give a speech if you like, and then council will go ahead and ask questions.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. I'll introduce myself. I'm Bob Hudson, give you a little history. I was on the council for 15 years, retired. Went back to work, retired again, have some free time. I think I might have some valuable insight that I can offer the council in this position as to some history and maybe some reasoning of why things in the past happened the way they did and might help guide the future. I would hope that my knowledge and experience would be beneficial to the council.
Councilmember Kaminsky. Start with you this time.
Okay, let me think. Don't really have any questions, but what do you think we're doing right? What do you think we're doing wrong?
In terms of what you're doing right, I think that the council is working together in a cohesive manner, which hasn't always been the case in the past. I think that you're, from what I'm reading, you're considering what impact on the future your actions are, that the actions you're taking now, what impact on the future they're going to have, which is good. I mean, you have to always be aware that for every action, there's an opposite and equal reaction, and some of them have unintended consequences.
Palmer.
So what are the top 3 things we need to work on as a city and why?
Land use. And the reason is it's nice to grow. And we have to grow as a community, but it has to be done in an orderly fashion. Because one thing that most people don't realize is not only with growth comes added responsibilities for the city. For every new mile of street that's put in, and every new mile of water line that's put in, and for every new mile of sewer line that's put in, you have to look into the future and say, how is it going to be maintained? What's the end cost in the long run? Because let's face it, it's going to cost the city. Where's the money coming from? Sure, the developers are going to pay for the development. They're not going to maintain it. Transportation obviously is an issue. I know that cities doing their best to mitigate transportation. I don't know what more can be done because there again, with development comes more transportation. And utilities. The utilities cost needs to be addressed, and I'm fully aware that they have to be self-sustaining and self-supporting. A lot of people aren't aware of that. And I think the more that the city can get the word out as to why things are being done the way they're being done, people will come to realize that, you know, as a council, you can't run everything. Your hands are tied by what state law governs. So.
Bob? Yes.
Reference the homeless unhoused situation that many communities are experiencing. What do you think the city's, right now, what do you think the city's role should be in reference to that?
Good question. How much money can you throw at a problem without solving it? I mean, there are innumerable resources out there right now that are being underutilized. Granted, they're not centrally located here in Yelm, but the distance is not so great, and transportation is available to the urban areas, excuse me, to the urban areas where those facilities are maintained. We get no money here in the city, well, very little money here in the city of Yelm for those types of things. It goes to the Tumwater, Olympia, Lacey, and the county. You know, where's the money coming from? How much can we ask citizens of the city of Yelm to bear to support a problem that is being generated elsewhere?
Councilmember Crossman.
You kind of answered it, so it's probably a similar answer anyways, but so you lived in Yelm for a while now.
70 some years.
Yeah, so you've seen a lot of change and a lot of growth. What are your thoughts on the current growth rate currently? And what are your thoughts? Yeah, what are your thoughts on the current growth trajectory that we're on?
How do you stop it? You can control it. How do you stop it? I happen to believe in private property rights. It's my property. Am I doing the responsible thing? And are there responsible measures in and codified within the codes that will allow me to do the responsible thing in a reasonable manner that I can afford? You have to have growth, but it has to be done responsibly, but not to the point of tying the property owner's hands.
Councilmember Richardson.
Yeah, first off, thank you again, Bob, for applying. I always appreciate people who do that. And, you know, last time you were my number one, so thank you again. You made a comment about developers developing, but the maintenance being a thing that is lacking. Can you give us a present example in the community that exists now where there was development, but we are lacking the maintenance in that area?
Let me think. Most of the developments right now, I mean, the city's been able to maintain. I'm talking future, but I'm also looking at some of the infrastructure here in town in the older areas. You know, some of the older streets are being totally neglected. Coats for one. Longmire for another. You know, just to name a couple that I happen to drive occasionally. But I think, Councilman, that's something that has to be considered when we do, you know, when the developments are looked at.
Councilor Wood.
I'm curious, and it's the same question I've been asking everybody. If you were appointed to the council, would you be running for the seat in the next election for that seat?
I'm going to say no, and there's a reason for that.
Enlighten us.
Mhm.
Enlighten us.
Number one is my age. I don't know where I'm going to be at a year and a half. Things were to change. There's a possibility, but as it stands right now, I don't foresee that happening.
Any further questions from the council? Councilmember Hess.
Mr. Isom, how would you deal with those with dissenting or opposing views to your own?
How would I deal with them? Listen to them, evaluate them. There might be merit to them. Maybe change the way I'm thinking. You know, just because I'm thinking it don't mean that it's necessarily the way to go.
Any further questions? Thank you.
Councilman has to answer your question. I can disagree without being disagreeable.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I got your bullet. You got it.
You better just to make sure.
Number 5 again.
Come on down.
He's been up running. He's probably getting low on his sugar levels.
Please go ahead and make a statement and council will ask questions of you.
Thank you. Yeah, so my name is Roy Putra. I actually go by my middle name, which is Chris. So my name is Roy Christopher Putra, but I'm named after my dad. And so in place of confusion, my mom called me Chris. And like, I feel like a Chris when I look in the mirror. And so, yeah, it's just one of those things. I had to go by Roy before. And I was just like, man, I'm not Roy, you know, it's just weird. Thank you for having me. I'm excited for the opportunity to be here. I'm excited to have an opportunity to serve the city of Yelm. I've been in Yelm since 2009. I grew up not too far from here in Parkland, Spanaway area. My dad is in the military, or was. He was in the military for about 20 years. And so I grew up as a military dependent most of my childhood. I actually had the privilege of living off for like 10 years, which I loved. And then just by chance, one day I was hanging out with a friend. We worked together and he was like, want to come to my house and watch a boxing match? And I was like, yeah, that'd be really cool. And he was like, I live in Yelm. I was like, where's Yelm? Like, I never even heard of it. You know, I've been in Washington since 1996. This was in like 2004. And so I was like, no, that one is it, right? This is my wife. Anyway, so I came out to Yelm and I actually was fascinated. Most of my family's from Wyoming. And so when I came to Yelm, I was like, my goodness, man, I can't believe like a place like this exists so close to Lacey and Parkland. And so, yeah, I told Annette, I was like, we should just live there. And yeah, we set it down in like paper and worked really hard. And they moved here in 2009, bought our house, and it's been great. 2 kids. I have a 17-year-old boy and a 14-year-old. And my 17-year-old just got accepted to Northwest University, so he'll be leaving this coming fall. So, yeah, so I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited for the opportunity, and I'm excited to see if you guys see or feel that I'm a willing candidate to serve our community.
All right, questions of council? Let's start with Councilor Wood.
I'm curious, if you're appointed to the position, would you be running for that position in a year and a half when it's up for election?
I would, yes.
Councilmember Richardson.
Wow, man. I didn't know it was you, Chris, because I didn't know your first name was Roy.
Surprise.
So, when I looked at the applications, my thought was, I wonder if this guy's related to Chris. Turns out it is you. And so I just got to say, just because I had no idea you were filling the application, if nobody knows about this family and what they do in the community, they volunteer their time everywhere. They have probably been at every community dinner and have served at every community dinner and has washed dishes, served food. I mean, these people are phenomenal. I didn't know it was you, man. I thought, who's Roy? But I've always called you Chris. So I'm excited that you turned in an application. And when I saw you sitting there and then I saw you walk to the back room, I thought, wait, is Chris Roy? So thank you for applying. But I guess as far as asking a question, I just kind of am happy that you applied, honestly.
Thanks.
Councilmember Crossman.
All right, so yesterday morning, the city council received an email from the president, and I'll read it in its entirety as it was written.
Yeah.
The city decides without agreement from homeowners on such ridiculous prices on water, be less greedy. So what do you think of the water rates and how do you respond to this resident's complaint?
I mean, like I live in Yelm, I pay the water bill. Like I have a pool, and in the summertime when I fill up my pool, like I strategically plan and pick the days because my water bill will be crazy. And it has bothered me at times, but I actually looked into it and I spent the time and I called around and I asked the city and I wanted to understand, like, I don't understand how come my water bill is so high. but there's a lot of backstory to it. And there was funding that was set in place and things that were put in place a long time ago that we're paying for through the water bill. And so I understand it. And I think sometimes just public awareness and clarity will help alleviate the concerns or the complaints. It did for me. And so, because yeah, coming from Parkland Spanaway, you know, I use water, my family watered 12 hours a day. You know, we never even thought about the water bill. And then here, you know, I pick and choose days to water. So
Just curious, has your water bill gone down? You fill your pool all the time.
Yeah.
Has it gone down the last couple of years versus like maybe 5 or 6 years ago?
okay, so my pool, because of my lovely wife, and I don't care for swimming that much, she bought one of those big rectangle pools above ground. And it cost me, I'm not even making this up, like $700.
Still,
I don't know if it's less or more because a couple of times I forgot to shut off the water. So I can look and I can check, but I have come outside and it's like flooding over. I'm like, oh, my money, it's going everywhere. And so, but.
thank you. Councilor Hess.
What are some projects that are occurring within the community that you support and think are really good for the community?
I think the bypass of road project is great. Like, it just seems over the years, it's gotten so terrible at times with like traffic, like detouring through Yelm. Like, it's like the secret's out that you can cut through this area. And there's times I live close to Fort Stevens and Walmart. Yeah, we actually live close to each other. And there's times that I come out and we'll go to Main Street area and the traffic's so bad. And I just think like, you know what, I'm gonna wait an hour and I go back home. So I think that's a great thing. I'm a huge fan and in favor of that. One thing that is that it?
Go ahead. You can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm also a fan of the dog park. Like at first, I didn't really understand it because I was like, it's a lot of land. I'm one of those people that like don't want to take their dogs to the dog park in case they get sick. But I was like, no, dog park would be cool because of the community. And there are a ton of dog people here in Yelm. And so even if I wasn't going to take my dogs there, I think it's a good place for people to gather because we do use our parks a ton, especially the city park. And so I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Councilor Palmer.
Yep. Top 3 things you think we need to work on as a city and why?
Like one would be safety. Since I've been here, I think that safety has become a bigger and bigger issue. I don't know if it's because of social media awareness and that I'm on social media that I have more insight to it now than I have before. But there are so many times when I see that there's an investigation going on, shooting or murder or road rage just recently. I also see at times that our safety services are stretched to the limit, you know, and then they're not able to manage everything at the same time. And so a good friend of mine just joined the Yelm Police Force, and I think it's great. And I think that is a first step into many so that we can build a police force that can the growing city because it's grown a ton since I've been here. And I can only imagine it's going to keep growing. Another thing is I think that it's important that Yelm grows with the times, like that it changes, that it gets more modern. I think Tim's Pharmacy is a great example. The renovation that's gone there, the big changes, you know, it steps it into the new age. Same with the school systems, Southworth, Yelm Middle School, those are good first steps to bring them into the modern age so they keep up. And then growing businesses. So I'm a small business owner myself. I own Toddler Tech Academy right by Yelm City Park. And I'm all for small business and I'm all for the success of the individual, but I come from a city at the same time. So I understand the need for bigger things at times to meet the needs of the people. Like Mayor, I heard that Popeye's chicken was coming. Like, I'm pretty excited about that. I mean, I'm not a fan of KFC, and so like I get excited for those things. But at the same time, one of my favorite places to eat is Mr. Doug's, right? And so I think that there's room in Yelm for both of those. And I think that it would work out with a good environment to bring all of them together. It's possible. There's room.
Thank you. Councilor Kaminsky.
Chris, in your story, I was pretty sure you were going to say that your friend invited you to come over and watch a Yelm City Council meeting. That's why I really thought you were saying a second. My only question is, why now for you?
So, like Joe said, I've served the community for a long time. Actually, I felt it was like a personal calling, not just for myself, but for my whole family. So my kids and my wife were all on board, and we love it. We go and meet people on all kinds of different levels from all types of walk of life. And for a while, I thought like, yes, I'm ready. I want to be a part of the Yelm team. I want to serve. And then my family went through some tough times. My wife was diagnosed with cancer, and she spent 2 years or 2.5 years going through some intense treatment. And in that time, our family got to refocus a tremendous amount. And we got to really view like where we see ourselves in the community, what community means to us. I tell people this all the time, like, I always firmly believe that I was one of those people, like, if you want to come to my house, you gotta like call and text me. And like, I want to make sure my hair is done, like answer the door, like at a designated time. But then when my wife got sick, because we had helped and been in so many different places, the community really like showed up for us. And there was day after day after day, like people would just randomly show up to our house, like in the morning, afternoon, it didn't matter. And I remember how much it filled my hearts and all of ours in our home. And my boys told me one day, my oldest, his name's Caleb, he's like, man, Dad, I didn't know that so many people loved us, you know? And I think like, well, that's what community does, like when we take care of one another. And I was like, and we poured into the community and the community poured back into us. And so now, as of August, my wife is cancer-free, which is fantastic. Like, I just feel like I'm ready. I'm ready to grow our business, ready to walk into the community as we took a back step from it and just find a place to serve. That's what's important. Yeah.
Is there any other questions from the council? Thank you, Chris.
Thanks.
Thank you all, the applicants who've spoke today and this interview process. You will be notified, well, you already have been notified of the next meeting, which will be in 2 weeks. At that time, the council will go ahead and vote on the replacement for council, or seat number 4, Councilmember Smith's seat. If there's any other questions, you can go ahead and ask now. Otherwise, we'll move on to our agenda. Thank you again. Moving on to old business. There's none scheduled. Moving on to standing council committee reports, Public Safety Committee.
And then we March.
Go ahead.
During the March 5th safety meeting, we had a discussion about that. What they're looking at, if we get the system, is that Yelm will own the material, cameras, things like that. And the company will be the one that maintains the database, maintains the systems. So we were going to purchase the systems, but we will be paying for maintenance of those. They are looking at the way it will work is it just takes a photo of the vehicle and the plate. Does not do facial recognition, does not do anything like that. And its sole purpose is that if there is a case, i.e. robbery, and they say blue Hyundai with Bobby Wagner on the poster on the back, then if a system, the only way they can look into the system is they have the case number, they look into it, and they're able to go, yes, they came through our community, or no, they did not. We're looking at approximately 4 cameras. It'll be, the initial cost is going to be covered with the grant, possibly. And then it'll be $3,000 each year to maintain. And they're hoping to increase it to a total of 6 cameras. But as I said, it's not going to be for tracking, nothing like that. It's to be able to, you have to have a case number. You just can't go in there and say, I want to look and see what's going on. We have 2 new officers that were hired. We have an entry level. He's coming from the Score jail. And then we have a lateral that's coming from Kansas. The new entry, he will start in April, and he has to go through the 4-month course. So hopefully that'll be coming up. And the lateral, he started May 1st or will start in May, and he has a 2-week course that he needs to go through. And when they graduate, they'll bring them in to introduce us to the council. They want to make sure that they get through that whole thing. And the SROs, with the Yelm school levy, the SROs, as you know, if you've been following the budget process, the school pays for the SROs. We're not quite sure on what will happen if the levy fails. We've been assured, the city has been assured that they see the SROs as a positive for the schools. So they're going to see what they can do to keep them. And currently we have 3 SROs. They want to see about increasing it to a 4th one because they like the program so much. Then there's the ABLE training. The ABLE training is for the officers to help them in reference to their mental health, as well as for going through the process of keeping an integrity and an honest police force. In other words, it's to teach officers that they see something that is wrong, that they learn how to step in and make sure it does not go completely wrong. They're very happy with it. It's from Georgetown is who developed it. And it's just peer intervention is the big detail for it. And let's see, reference jail services. Currently, we have 3 to 5 daily beds that have been used. We're looking for a second attorney for the public defender's office. There's 1 under consideration at this time. And then that's about it for right now.
All right, thank you, Councilmember Hess. Moving on to the Public Services Committee.
Next meeting.
Moving on to the Finance Committee.
Okay, I'll go first. It's a 2-part.
Looking over.
Our chair vacated, so we agreed to split the report.
Okay.
So the main thing is that the clear budgeting software has been recommended by and endorsed now fully by Jason, our IT manager, over early, and that is what he is recommending for the city. And a question came up about whether we could get data out of it. Should we begin using it and then not like it and want to just the system? So it's not a money back guarantee, but we have a data back guarantee. We get any data back. And they'll be starting recording from 2019 through the system. So that's the first part, and then you can say the second part.
Perfect. Yep. So upcoming finance committee meeting is canceled April 9th. Our director is out of town, so we will not be having a meeting April 9th. And then also on the gambling tax, right now we are at 3% gross, which we are going to look into and do an analysis. They're going to see a bunch of options to council on reducing that and making it a little bit easier on the small businesses.
Yeah, I don't know, when was that meeting? Today? Okay. So you did mention that we charge our gross and we could go up to 10% on that?
We could go up, but
yeah,
we're looking at going down.
Fair. Okay.
Since it's such a small number, that doesn't a whole bunch. It should become a point of contention for the small businesses in town that will alleviate it. Be part of the budget by any means.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Anything else? All right, cool. Moving on to Mayor, City, and Sheriff staff reports. Todd, you want to start?
Yep. Get through it. Yelm Dog Park will receive hydro season next week. All goes well, the park should open mid to late April. Park stage is having the electrical installed this week. Sod has been placed in the front of the stage, so 100% completion is very close. Alice training will take place at Yelm City Hall in the Public Services Building beginning in April. Training will be conducted by our very own highly trained police officers. Is anyone wondering what Alice means?
Please enlighten us.
Alert, lockdown, inform, counter, and evacuate. So intruder type training for all city employees. We were able to hire 2 seasonal employees that will begin in April and May.
And then the police department, as a few folks have mentioned, has been very busy recently with their own work and then assisting the sheriff's office with some significant crimes nearby Yelm. That's all I have, unless you have questions for me.
What was the Alice thing again?
There's 2 dates in April we have picked down. April 1st and 10th and 21st. April 10th and 21st.
Yep. Any other questions from council? For my report, attended the EDC meeting last week, the Economic Development Council. They did bring forward a little bit about a presentation about the economic impacts here in Thurston County. And last year, there was an impact of $475.8 million that the EDC efforts had on this area. Total employment impacts were 1,441 full-time jobs. Total labor income impact was 109.2 million. Return on investment for every $1 invested in the EDC, our programs efforts generate $48 in economic activity. So they are definitely driving some economic drivers here to not just Thurston County, but here locally. And we just had the presentation here, last month or so on it. And if anyone wants the presentation on that, we can go ahead and get that to you as well. Other than that, I met with the superintendent, the Yelm schools last week. We discussed some of the things that a few of you mentioned, including our relationship with the schools, our officers that are serving in there, and the impacts that possible levy failure could have on that. Like I think it was Councilmember Hess was saying, that relationship is very close, and they do appreciate that relationship. They want it to continue. So hoping that the levy passes for that reason. Other than that, attended Dollar Scholars, good times at that. We raised a lot of money for the students here in Yelm and had a wonderful time. And other than that, we had the end of session last week, legislative session, Washington State. City of Yelm received just under $50,000 for activated alleyway, as well as an increase in the roundabout for was it the Bald Hills, Cody, for the county?
Yeah, yes.
The Bald Hills roundabout. They increased that because the design that the county wanted was a little bit more than WASDOT had originally allocated in their designs. And so they're going with the bigger design that the county wanted, and it's now fully funded for that. So we'll hear more about those projects coming up soon. We are already starting on our project where of the 3 jurisdictions, City of Yelm, Thurston County, and Pierce County, we're the most ready. Bids have been out.
We've got a conceptual design back last week.
Nice. So we'll get that out to council here probably next week.
Yeah, I think we're presenting it yes, it's coming soon. Public Services will see it in 2 weeks.
At the latest, you'll see it at the council retreat. That's all I have. Any questions for me? All right, we'll do council member reports, starting with council member Kaminsky.
I have Arts Commission tomorrow, but at the last meeting, we were discussing utility wraps around some of the large utility boxes in town. And the idea came up in honor of the 100-year celebration is to do that sepia style art with the old fashioned buggy and the old fashioned things, just in honor of the 100-year celebration. So I'll see tomorrow if they're going to continue with that. We had Finance Committee, and I also attended the Dollars for Scholars, and I got to see the mayor and the public works people spend all their money, things, but very good, worthy things they bought. And then we had some of our scholars give presentations today at the chamber lunch. So that was very, very good. That's my report.
Councilor Palmer.
Had solid waste advisory on March 6th, and a couple of programs came out. Christmas trees, we took in 3,022 this year, and they're still counting actually, and all that goes to compost for the local area. So that was a successful program. That was a gain of 955 trees this year. So keep recycling those trees. And then let's see, May 4th, we got Earth Day, Compost Day events. You can find a bunch of those on the Thurston County Public Works website. Got a whole bunch of upcoming community events. So go check it out if you're interested in different ways to recycle and different outreach programs. I got some youth programs and otherwise as well. And, oh, and also styrofoam is going to be banned on June 1st. So you use styrofoam in your business, start looking at those alternatives, especially for restaurants. But that's a statewide ban.
Press.
The Interstate Transit Authority, I went to did a visit of the facility in Olympia, Lacey, somewhere around there. It's always confusing. It was really good to see. They've got new buildings built. They've got great maintenance. They're doing a really good job, and they are being very cautionary with the taxpayers' money. They're doing really good things. Also, I was in a brief about the dial-a-ride system, and this is something that I think is going to be really good for Yelm in the future. Currently, it is for the ADA only, and when you book it, it's a day ahead. They have an app for it, but the app is not fully functional at this time. The app will allow them to take a look and see what their current schedule is and what the previous uses that the individual has used. Since they have started with the new software program, they have gotten to where they are 99% on time with pickup. And that's within a 30-minute window. And they said, even if you put it down to a 15-minute window, it's that high for those individuals that make that appointment. Drop at 98%. Some of the things that are really good about the program is that the person who is waiting for the ride, previously the way it was done is that they were told sometime between 12 to 12:30, your ride will show up, and they don't get any updates. The new program, they get text message or calls, whichever they prefer, and lets them know 15 minutes out, we're turning into your neighborhood. I am now at your location. So this allows them the opportunity to prepare to leave the door and get the assistance they need. It also has helped reduce the no-show situation from 1% to less than 0.5%. And how this can be helpful for Yelm in the future is that once they get all the bugs worked out, they get everything working on it, and they get some of the new vehicles coming in that they're looking at for smaller buses, not 53 passenger, but smaller ones, that Yelm might be able to utilize that system, micro transit system. In other words, if there are 5 teenagers that want to go to Regal Cinema, they can reach out, ask for a ride, bus will come, pick them up, and any other rides that go along, and they can go right to Regal Cinema directly instead of having to take bus 94 all the way down into downtown Olympia or way out of the way and then back in. So it'll be helpful for providing transportation for us here in Yelm. So I will be continuing to stay on top of that and see when that can happen.
That's more cost.
Well, I did not go to Dollar Scholars this year because I was celebrating 23 years of marriage.
The blowers look very good.
Thank you.
Very nice.
Yep, we donated floors. I did make one donation of creations that Jay and they won, so.
Congratulations, though.
Oh, thank you. So it was a good night, but we have Steady coming up on Friday where Lynn's gonna give a presentation on our app, the Agents of Discovery. And then we have Beautification Grant Committee last week. Today on. So those will be coming out shortly next meeting. Thank you.
Is that on the agenda for next one?
It's gonna be April.
Yeah, so those will be awarded here shortly.
Is Steady in Yelm?
In here.
All right, thank you. Councilor Richardson.
Yeah, man, Yelm, we have a problem because we have 5 fabulous applicants and we only got 1 vacancy. So this is exciting to be in this position. Thank you again, all who've applied. This is quality. This is a good problem to have when you have fine quality people applying for these positions. So thank you and keep applying and please don't stop because we need quality people to sit in these seats and I think Yelm is starting to wake up and do that. And so as we keep seeing turnaround, we'd love to see great people serving the community. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Councilor Wood.
I attended the TCOM meeting. It was one of the shortest TCOM meetings I think I've ever been to. We reappointed Lenny Greenstein as the chair and Leetta Dalhart.
Councilmember from Tumwater, I believe.
Yes, sir. And that's my report. I have a transportation policy board meeting in the morning. And I've have some curiosity sparked about the RT transportation that is put out through the TRPC. So I hope to come back with some more information on that will help to get our citizens moving around where they need to, when they need to get there.
Sounds good. Thank you. And I briefly mentioned or advocated for the levy, and that was inappropriate. I probably shouldn't have advocated one way or the other for a campaign. Apologize for that in my report, so sorry. Other than that, there is no executive session scheduled. And next meeting, though, there will be is it next meeting or is it the meeting after that? Not the, it's the next one. We'll be having a closed session to discuss labor negotiations. So other than that, move on to if there's a motion.
Adjourn.
Is there a second? Second. All those in favor? Palmer said it. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay.